this up and going. Come on, come on. Receiving content. We are up there. That is there. And this is here. Okay, looks like we are all in the green.
Great.
I like being in the green.
Me too.
Yeah, it's always better when we're in the green. Okay. You guys ready to start?
Yes.
We'll start in 3, 2, 1. Welcome everybody to Geekvice episode 184, proving any vice with enough geek can become a virtue. My name's Morph, that man's Kip. Good evening, Kip.
Good evening.
We also have ourselves another special guest. She's been on this show before. Her name's Hollie, and she is a CrossFit fanatic that is starting her own podcast called Hollie's World. It is going to cover the world as it appears to Hollie, which could be all kinds of different things. I'm sure they're going to talk about CrossFit. I'm sure they're going to talk about movies. You know she's going to talk about Game of Thrones. What else, Hollie, are you going to be talking about?
Well, thanks, Aaron. I'm going to be talking about movies, TV shows, wrestling.
How could I have leave out wrestling? Of course you're going to talk about Seth Rollins.
Why not talk about Seth Rollins?
It's all going to be Seth Rollins all the time, I think.
But it doesn't sound like a bad gig to me, or anything bad for your your listeners. So I think it's going to be exciting, and I'm going to have people on, like Billy out of our podcast umbrella, and he's going to talk to me a lot about wrestling, and I'll have other people on who enjoy wrestling as much as I do, people who have been involved in wrestling much longer than I, and can give their perspective about the current product.
That sounds very cool, very cool. And Billy is definitely a good guy. He's a co-host in Daydream Instruction Manual, or shows up in there. He also is co-host of Underground Inc. in the podcast arcade. So if you want to know more about Billy, you can check him out there, and check him out in Hollie's World when he makes his appearances in there. I love the fact that you have the name of your podcast is going to be Hollie's World. So
funny, Aaron, is John came up with that, and John came up with my tagline. Like, I wish I could take complete credit for that, but John was the mastermind between both my podcast name and my tagline, and I really liked that he had that involvement in that investment.
Oh yeah,
that's the creative mofo around here.
That's right. He is super creative dude over there.
Yes.
So I have to ask, are we gonna do Geekvice listeners get a sneak peek at what your tagline's gonna be, or are you gonna make everybody tune into your first episode?
Well, first of all, yes, please tune into my first episode, which John is gonna post on iTunes probably by tomorrow night, but my tagline is, it's Hollie's World, you just live in it. And that's something that Mr. Golden came up with. I like it. It fits me. There will be t-shirts and swag and all that good stuff, but it personifies who I am, but it also personifies how I feel about life. John captured it perfectly in a tagline, and it may sound like a little kind of snotty from the outset, but it's really meant to be silly and inclusive and everything else. And I hope people take it for the joy and the silliness and the fun that it is.
Awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun. And so your first episode has already been recorded, right? And so
Yeah.
we're going to get that up, and
Yes.
you will be able to find it. Just go to Hollie's World, search for that on iTunes. It might not be up there yet if the first one hasn't been posted
Not yet.
but
It's going to be there.
that's right. Keep an eye on
Well,
that, and keep an eye
She's
on
relying on me, which we both know that is kind of give or take when you rely on me for stuff. So
I mean, Kip really is the best producer in the world, so
He is.
he's got this. He's got no problems.
He
It'll
does.
get up there sometime in the next 6 to 10 years.
Right. Right. And not only that, but he came up with my logo, and it's really super cool. And I'm excited. I'm truly excited for what the future will bring with the podcast. And I'm thrilled to be part of the Geekvice umbrella.
Yep.
And we'll just see where it goes.
That is awesome. That is super awesome. So yeah, if you want to know when that first episode gets posted, follow us on Facebook.
Sure.
Do you have a Facebook page?
I don't. And I'm going to be honest with listeners. I don't subscribe or believe in Facebook. But
Yeah,
what I do is have an Instagram account and a Twitter account. And I encourage listeners who really believe in the podcast, which will cover everything from CrossFit to owning a CrossFit gym to nutrition to wrestling to great movies and TV shows and books. If that's kind of like your thing, then you will find us on iTunes, and you'll find us on Twitter, and you will find us on Instagram, but you will not find us on Facebook. And I've chosen that specifically.
There you go. So follow her on Instagram. How can they follow you? What is your little username on Instagram?
It's going to be Hollie's Podcast.
Hollie's World Podcast.
Hollie's World Podcast. Thank you, John. Hollie's World Podcast on Twitter, and it's Hollie's World Podcast on Instagram. And soon enough, we'll have stuff up there for if you're interested in to tag and listen to and link to. My goal is also to have a blog which talks about everything from, what are the best shoes and socks that you should be wearing? What are the best, easy things, water, protein shakes, all of it will all be documented on my blog. Because I feel like I'm a very beginner CrossFit person and I'm evolving. And so what does that really mean? Evolving means I'm trying out new products, I'm trying out new things, I'm trying out new classes. And the idea is that I'm going to share all that information along with the information I learned from the CrossFit box owners and share them with viewers who are really curious about how that works.
Awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Thank you, Aaron.
I'm excited that you are getting into this. I know that this has kind of been in the works for you for a little while. You've kind of been back and forth on whether or not you're going to do it, and I'm glad that you have taken the leap of faith, as I like to say, and join us in this podcasting craziness that we do. So, congrats.
I feel very, Aaron, I will just tell you, I feel lucky to be under the Geekvice umbrella, which is like a safe and good place to get my beginning. And then if and when I have followers, obviously I want to bump up to the podcast umbrella where you and me and John will be doing a photo shoot in September.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's the right path for me to get the message out about how fantastic CrossFit is, how inclusive it is, how supportive it is, how it can be a family. And I feel very grateful to you and John for inviting me to be part of your umbrella that will eventually be part of the podcast Arcade umbrella.
Yeah.
So my thanks to you both.
Well, you are welcome. all are welcome in the Geekvice, the Church of Geekvice. How about that? Oh.
I like that too, buddy.
Yeah, we're starting a cult now, Kip, in case you didn't know this.
Well, I'm all for starting a cult. I always figured I'd be a good cult leader. So
Yeah, I like that idea. So, all right, well, we are gonna have. Let's see. You're going to talk about CrossFit, but you're also going to talk about movies. So I think this is kind of the perfect opportunity for us to talk about. Well, I want to know more about Hollie, and we know CrossFit, we know wrestling. You said you're going to talk about movies and TV shows. What kind of movies and TV shows are you really into right now that you just have to talk about?
Okay, so it's safe to say that anything with a Marvel or a DC sort of superhero, I'm going to be all over like a wet paper towel. I love the Marvel universe. There's so many Marvel movies coming out next year that I'm excited that we're going to talk about. It's going to be everything from, what I read this morning as far as the Affinity Avengers, Affinity Wars 1 to the Han Solo pre-sequel to it just seems like there's a mammoth amount of Marvel properties coming out next year, whether it's, if you want to call it the Deadpool, which I know is part of Fox Studios, and we're going to also have another Marvel movie, which is a little bit earlier in the year, and that's Black Panther. And that, to me, you have 4, Marvel superhero movies coming out in 1 year, on top of the Star Wars pre-Han Solo flick. That's a lot of firepower coming out of Hollywood. And that's exciting to me to see where they're going to go with these different franchises that, will be very bankable, in my opinion. If it has something like Middle-earth and the Dwarves, if it has Collateral Damage, if it looks like it's the Justice League with that delicious Jason Momoa, you can count me in. But if it looks like it's going to be up for an Oscar, if it looks like there's lots of talking or a pet dying, chances are I'm not going to cover it. If it looks like a preachy movie where something is trying to be accomplished for the greater good, that's not going to be the type of movie I really see. I'm going to stick to things that are light and entertaining, that make me think, but also entertain me and are popcorn movies. And I think I come from that perspective from the fact that my father died 5 years ago, and it taught me that, among many things, life is short, and you can certainly spend a lot of time watching cathartic movies where people cry and talk about their dead pets or their dead kids, but that's not who the girl I am today. The girl I am today is the girl who wants to watch the popcorn movies and has fun, enjoys herself, but not necessarily really wants to discuss the dark and nitty-gritty of serious movie. So we'll talk about those things. We'll talk about great reads. We'll talk to box, essentially CrossFit box owners. We'll talk to members. But I really wanted to cover a few things, and that is people's journey through CrossFit, but also, more importantly, how has CrossFit really impacted someone's life? For me, it's been a road to, as silly as this sounds, the road to positivity, to change my attitude, to live my life in a better place. And not everyone's going to live like that. Not everyone's going to like that. But for me, it's about changing my mental attitude, and even in the darkest hours of diversity, being able to change that perspective into something that is light. And I think that's what I really want to focus on, especially as my internship at CrossFit Memorial Hill starts in September. I think I really want to focus on, yes, it's nutrition, and yes, it's mental yes, it's physical and all those things, but more than anything, it's how you think about how you approach not only CrossFit, but how you approach your life in general. And what is it that you really want? You know, John has turned 50. I'm going to be 49 this October. You know, you're kind of at your halfway point. What is it that you really want to accomplish with your life? Who is it that you want to impact and make a difference with? We can all go to work and we can all be corporate cogs, but what is it that is really gonna leave your legacy? And maybe I'm just being philosophical, but you know, my dad was really big about on making a change for the good. And I think that's where I'm at right now, is how do you make that change for the good? And for me, it's going to be through CrossFit. Through you, it's going to be, you know, raising your kids. Through John, it's going to be something else. But for my life and passion, I want to directly impact people. And I think that will be through CrossFit.
That sounds super deep.
It is. It is. I apologize that I went this deep on a Sunday night. So please forgive my deep rambling.
Well, it's all been enhanced because we watched. We just got done watching Game of Thrones over at a friend's house, and we bought a beer called Dragon's Milk, and it's 11% alcohol.
Oh.
And so we may have had a couple of glasses. So
I don't know what he's talking about, but I will tell you that I think it's important to, at some point, assess truly whether it's through alcohol or not. truly, take a look at your life and figure out what it is you really want to, where is it that you really want to spend the rest of your life? Is it at a company being a corporate wonk, or is it someplace that lights your fire?
Corporate wonk? I'm offended by this.
Well, you are.
I resemble that, Mark.
I'm going to offend you. But for those of us who want to pursue our true passions, and, you know, I don't know that everybody finds their passion. I think that would be a good podcast topic to explore. How many people in their life go to work and check the box and get the paycheck, but how many people actually pursue what it is that they dream of and want to live? And I'm hoping that in the next 3 to 5 years, as I go through my internship at CrossFit Memorial Hill, that spurs me to become and to live the life I want to live. Now, is it possible? I don't know right now, you know, because John and I would have to look at our finances and have to decide if we can make it work and everything. But I can tell you from my dream, he said, you know, look 3 years in the future, where would you want to be? And it would be working at CrossFit Memorial 12 to 9 hours a day or whatever, and doing a combination of teaching classes and working out. Because to me, that would be Mecca. But for other people, I think, you know, going to work every day, having a steady paycheck, knowing what you're doing from 8 to 9 o'clock and all that, it would be a seismic shift of whatever I've done in the past. But I think it would be a seismic shift from the perspective of I'm really helping people and making an impact on their lives versus just, you know, doing something that's going to make somebody else more money. Does that make sense?
No, I absolutely understand exactly where you're coming from, because honestly, if I had my choice, what I would be doing the 12 to 9 hours a day, as you put it, I would like to be doing this. I would love to be making content, playing video games like I do for the Let's Play on Geekvice Gaming, recording shows like what we do here at Geekvice and what you're going to be doing with Hollie's World. I would love to be doing that and reaching people and impacting people through that. And that, so yeah, no, I understand exactly where you're coming from, and I think that's important. I think that's really important for people to find what it is that they really want to do. And, you know, just like you said, you know, right now might not be the time for you to be able to change everything completely and right now do your whole CrossFit thing. You're in your internship right now, so you can't do it yet, but you're working your way there, and I think that's kind of what, honestly, that's what Geekvice and the guys with the Podcast Arcade are trying to do with the network itself, is become self-sufficient, be able to provide enough for, for us so that we don't have to work 9 to 5, at a normal corporate cog type job. I'm all for it. I get what you're saying, and I say more power to you. And if it's going to be topics like that you're going to be discussing in your podcast, I think you've got a great step for that, because I mean, you do have an idea of what you want to do and where you want to go. And I think if nothing else, people should tune into your podcast to listen to the journey that you are making, because it is a journey that I think a lot of people have. Everybody wants a job. They want to get paid money to do something they absolutely love to do. And I think that's, that fits you.
I like that, Aaron. And one guy recently at the gym, his name is Coach Matt, and he recently just got hired on full time. And there's another guy named Kyle, and he wants to be hired on full time. And to me, it's just a matter of having enough members and having enough clients that, they can, that there's enough. There's enough members that can support both Matt and Kyle being able to serve those audiences. And I feel the same way. In another year, I feel like there will be audiences that that I will be able to serve, whether it's, I don't want to say an older population, but I feel that, there's a group of people who are afraid of CrossFit and think it's too tough and scary and intimidating. And then there's someone like me who's their age who can say, it's not as bad as you think it is, and it's just a matter of trying it. Not many people, I realize, get to live their dream. Does spending 12 to 18 hours in a gym sound appealing to most people? I highly doubt it. But when you love that particular thing, whether it's CrossFit or teaching soccer or being a personal trainer at another gym, that becomes your driving passion. That's all you want to do. And while I have an upcoming job that's going to be amazing and challenging and I think very, very fulfilling, at the end of the day, I know where my mecca is. I know where my home is. My home is the gym. It is the beacon that calls to me. People think I'm nuts, but it is the beacon that calls to me every day that says, you belong here. You have community here. You have family here. And this is where you need to grow and evolve as a person. I don't know that everybody has a place like that. I hope that they have a place like that, whether it's church or, youth soccer or, whatever it is. I hope that people have that. For me, it's going to that CrossFit gym every day and figuring out, what is it I'm capable of doing? What can I accomplish just today? Not tomorrow, not next week. It's what can I accomplish today? And I think that's a big thing for me with CrossFit is, not every day is going to be champagne and roses. I'm going to just knock this out of the park. But there are going to be some days where it's going to be like, holy damn, I was able to do that, and I'm proud of myself. And I think it's for each people to find that thing that makes them feel the way that CrossFit makes me feel. CrossFit makes me feel not only like I'm part of a family, CrossFit makes me feel like I'm accomplishing something, and it's not just about being a better athlete. I mean, you can easily say, I'm going to do CrossFit, I'm going to be a better athlete. But what I've learned is it's about being a better human being all the way around. And most people wouldn't look at CrossFit that way, but that's how I look at CrossFit. CrossFit is, yes, I'm going to be a better athlete, and I'm going to be part of this community, but at the end, and I think that's really, for me, that's one of the things my parents brought me up on, and I put a high value on it.
Sure. No, absolutely. So, obviously we had said that your podcast is going to be on iTunes, so it's going to be an audio thing. Have you thought about adding in a video component of it with, recording some of your CrossFit workouts to try to entice other people into joining you at CrossFit Memorial Hill?
That's a really good question, Aaron. And no, I haven't thought about a video component. I've kept the couple of the audio ones that we're going to be posting in the next few days. We've kept it to really like audio because I'm a little shy about, going before a camera. There's pictures of me on Instagram, and I'm okay with that.
Hence to the fact that she's not in the video part of this, for those of you watching on YouTube.
Something to do with it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm half behind the scenes, and I'm half in front of the scenes. And I don't know if that makes sense to you, Aaron. Yeah. Like, half is behind the scenes when it comes to posting stuff to Instagram, and then there's the other half of me of, here I am, check me out, and, call it like you see it. Kind of thing.
Sure. No, I get it. And I mean, honestly, the podcast side of it is definitely the place to start because it's the easiest to do. Sitting down and recording yourself talking and recording with guests and things like that is really easy as opposed to trying to record stuff in video format and getting the lighting right, which, as you could tell in this room, the lighting is not right, and I'm trying to work on it to not have myself get washed out by these stupid floodlights that I have in here. But the getting good quality video part is hard, and so I think it's great that you start with audio. But I would also say, I mean, if you, and this might even be something where you can rely on, like, if you start your own CrossFit, or if you become a full-time member at your gym, having a video component to show, to basically help you recruit that demographic that you said you think you can hit with CrossFit, that are scared of it right now because they look at it and they see the 20-something-year-olds doing these crazy, ridiculous workouts that they just look at and go, oh, I can't do that.
I agree with you, Aaron. I totally agree. And the audience that I really hope to eventually reach, I mean, of course, I want to meet the demographic that's people like, hey, they're in their 40s, they played sports as a youngster, were very competitive, and want to kind of rekindle that life as an athlete when they were younger. Because that's what I was curious about. I was like, hey, I can learn to climb a rope when I was a little spider monkey in school. I want to be able to do handstands the way I could just do them without even having to think about them. I want to be able to do this, and I want to be able to do that, and I think all of that is great and important. But you do have a certain part of the population now that's like, oh, I have to be careful about my knee. My knee is so fragile, and I need a knee replacement. And it's like, come on now. You're 45 years old. You can give this a try. It's not that scary.
No, I'm 36 and my knees still hurt, so
right. Right, and so, but it's convincing people. I talked about it with Matt Scanlon, who is the owner of our CrossFit gym, CrossFit Memorial Hill, And he's like, you can't just start the first conversation about being, this is all about change and putting you in an uncomfortable situation that this is so different from you, you don't kind of know what to do with yourself. And I think that's kind of probably what I call the hard sell of CrossFit, is that they're asking you to do some pretty uncomfortable stuff from the beginning, and you have to have faith that these people who you don't know yet, who you don't trust yet, know what's best for you. And you have to take a leap of faith to be like, even though I'm in this uncomfortable space that I don't necessarily like and I'm not sure of, I have to know that at the end of the day, it's going to be the best thing for me. And that's tough for a lot of people. It was tough for me. It took a long time for me to be able to say, I'm going to let my walls down, and I'm going to actually push myself harder than I've ever pushed myself, and kind of surrender to the process. I think that's what they call it. Surrender the process and let yourself work harder than you would normally, and be confident of that you have the ability to do it, and that your CrossFit coach has your best interest in mind. They're not physically trying to kill you. They're physically trying to see how far you can push yourself before your mind says, yeah, I don't know about this. I'm not sure this is the greatest thing on earth. But your body is like, you know what? I want to engage, and I want to see how far I can push.
Right.
I think that's exciting about CrossFit. But that's also what scares people about CrossFit, because it's like, well, how far are you people willing to push yourself? Well, pretty far.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying there. Yeah, my that is definitely a thing, and pushing yourself past your limits and pushing you out of your comfort zone is something that I mean, you have to work at. You have to work at it in everything that you do if you want to excel at it. My oldest son is 8, and I have to talk to him. I have that conversation with him about that all the time, and he falls back into these habits that are comfortable for him when he's playing soccer and he's doing sports and he's doing different things. He just falls into what's safe and easy, and it's like, no, you've got to challenge yourself. You have to push yourself harder and faster and bigger, faster, stronger. You can't do that if you don't push yourself. And I think you're right. I think that's exactly what CrossFit is, and I think that same kind of idea also scares people a little bit, because they're afraid that their body is going to fail. Their mind might be sharp as a tack, saying, I can do that, but I think I can do that, but my body doesn't tell me that I can, and they need that extra push. And I think that's awesome that you were there to help people do that.
I, have gone through, I don't know, some sort of transformation, and I don't know how to explain it to others, Aaron, because I don't know that it necessarily makes sense to me. At some point, something snapped in me, whether it was my head coach saying, you're going to need to make these, are you committed to change, or do you just want to talk about change? And I was like, no, I'm committed to change. I can do this. This is what I want. But it was a matter of saying, okay, I do have to button up my eating habits to an extent where I can't have dessert every night, or I can't have a hamburger every night. But even more than that, it was being able to display an intensity and an ability and a drive to finish my workouts that really took that's what was the impetus to show Josh that I had the drive and the skill to commit to change. Because so many people can say, hey, I still want to change. I want to change my eating habits, and I want to change my workout, and do all that. But until you actually show and can demonstrate that you can make change, a lot of people are just going to look at you like, well, you're just words. And so to be able to put that into motion and to prove yourself that you can do, let's just say one thing. I'm going to commit to, let's pretend, being at the gym 3 days a week versus 1 day a week. That's, that's a lot. I made the decision for me that I was not only going to be at the gym 5 days a week working out, I was going to spend 2 days a weekend doing stretching and things like that, but I was also going to really button up my eating habits. And most people are like, oh, how hard can that be? It must be a piece of cake to change your eating habits.
No,
it's not a piece of cake to change your eating habits. If you've been eating the way you've been wanting to eat for the last 46 or 47 years, and then you're told, you know what, you're going to have one dessert a week, and you're going to have one rewards meal, and that's how it's going to be going forward, not only for the next month or the next 6 months, but for the rest of your life. You really have to dig deep and say, is this something I really want? Is this something I can commit to? Is this something sustainable? Is it something I can live with and be happy with? And if you can do those things and be like, you know what, this is not a diet, this is an actual lifestyle, that I can do this and be successful, then I think you figured it out. Whether it's, I'm going to eat salad Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or I'm going to eat, grilled chicken breast and vegetables these days. If you have figured it out where you can look at it and say, I'm good with this, I have made peace with it, and I am going to follow this, and it's going to be sustainable, truly sustainable, then I think if you're a person, that is the key to success. There's nothing else that I can tell you from doing CrossFit or anything else other than if you can commit to a program that you believe in and will support and follow and love and that works for you, then you're always going to be leagues ahead of everyone else who is way, way behind the curve.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my perspective on just the eating portion, I guess, the nutrition portion of what you do with your life. And then if you're lucky enough like me where you're going to get to do an internship, you're going to pass your certification level 1, at some point you're going to get placed. I don't know how long it happens, but sooner or later you're going to get placed at a CrossFit gym, hopefully one that you're passionate about and that you love more than anything in the world. You love more than your own home, but you don't love more than your spouse, but it's somewhere where you spend 12 to 16 hours a day and you're invested in your members and your athletes and you want to make a difference. Like, that's the biggest thing in your life, is that you want to make a difference in other people's lives, which sounds easy, but it isn't, because you have people that come to the gym to be inspired, you have people that come to the gym to be educated, and you have people who come to the gym to be entertained. And that's the reality. There's people who are like, oh, I'm just coming in here to check a box, and I don't need you to inspire me. I don't need you to entertain me. I just need you to pretty much show me the movements and this prescribed RX, and I don't need anything else from you. But there's going to be the people who want to believe in you as kind of the person who has the answers and the person who kind of is your savior, and they want you to direct them. How do I fix my life? I'm doing these uncomfortable movements, not because I necessarily want to, but because I need to. How can you help me solve these problems that I don't really know that I have, but by coming to CrossFit, it seems like to me that you can help me solve my problems because you're putting me in an uncomfortable situation.
Right.
And figuring that out that's the great puzzle. You know, are you coming in to just get a workout and to mail the workout in? Or are you coming in because you have a deeper drive to solve something that we can help you with? And it's figuring that out. And I look forward to the challenge of that, because not everyone I'm going to train am I going to be able to impact. Do I wish that was the opposite case? I do. I wish that everyone I met with, I touched and made a difference in their life. But frankly, it doesn't work like that. And so the people, I think I have to view it as like, okay, there's going to be a number of people that I'm going to be able to impact. And those are going to be the people that I focus my time and my energy on, and my love and my everything else. Those are the people that will get my time and energy. And if you're not kind of focused on that, then yes, come to class and I will help you. But the rest of the time, I'm going to really be focused on helping these people who want to make a difference in their lives and really want to commit to change.
Sure.
And that's what I feel like has been the biggest impetus for me at the gym, is the ability to change.
That sounds awesome.
Thank you. I hope you come one day to the gym, Aaron, just so that we can work out together and have a...
You want to see my scrawny ass that can't do shit? Yeah.
No, that's not true. You're a soccer star. No, I think what I would like is for you to come to the gym and have a workout, and for us to kind of have a Dr. Spock mind meld of, you know, where we are in the fitness realm.
Right.
What?
Well, I can tell you where I'm at. It's like, so, like, here is 0, and like I'm like way down here, like below 0.
Well, you'd be here with me, so
yeah.
True.
I am going to I'm going to, there's a Kickstarter out there that is called Battle Mat, which is I think it's called Battle Mat.
that's correct.
That's basically a fitness card game that is I'm going to back on Kickstarter, and I'm going to start working out in the afternoons after I pick up my kids, but from school. So they get out of school at 3:30, so I've rearranged my schedule to get out of work at 3 o'clock so I can pick them up at 3:30, and then I will have the afternoon to be able to, or a little bit of the afternoon to be able to get a workout in. So I'm going to try to get back into doing something, whether it's running, biking, or doing some sort of stretching, strength training type, circuit training type stuff. But you know, we've talked about it before. You know, me trying to get to the gym is just hard because I just don't have. If I had the free time to go to a gym, I'd have the free time also to watch movies. And I don't have that either. So, but I like the idea. I like what you're doing. I really like the. I'm glad that you're starting this podcast, and I'm hoping that I hope that you are able to reach the lives and impact the lives the way you want to, and get more people involved in improving their lives and making them get healthier choices and maybe impact people that way. So
I hope so too, Aaron. You know, my initial target audience, to be truthful, is going to be people who are kind of like me. And by me, I mean people who are in their upper 40s and have heard of CrossFit, but have been very, trepidatious about thinking, oh, CrossFit, isn't that dangerous? And don't people get injured? And it's so scary, and I can't do it, and it's all this weightlifting, and yada, 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 yada. I want to make CrossFit highly accessible for people who want to be CrossFit athletes. And whether they come once a month or 2 times a month or 3 times a week. I want them to feel like they belong to the gym just as much as I belong to the gym, and be engaged and be passionate about the change that's occurring because they're doing CrossFit. You know, that change can just be something simple like, oh, I'm losing a few pounds, or I'm losing some inches, or it could be, you know what, I feel really strong and this has changed my perspective on how I feel, and I don't feel like a doormat anymore, and I feel like I can take on the world. Or it can be, you know, I'm a major badass, I want this to someday be a career for me. What do I need to do to pursue that dream and that career? You know, there's just so many different options that are available. My goal is the same goal that I have every day, and that is to do right by my dad, and that is to also make a difference for others. And if I can impact one person, even if it's just, let's say, one person every 6 months, and make their life a better place, a happier place, a more positive place, then I'm following my father's example of being a good person. And so whether it's through CrossFit or whatever else I'm doing, to me, I'm doing the right thing. And that's the focus. That's the universe I live in. Because that's what he believed in so strongly. And I just want to be able to do that. CrossFit is an excellent way, you know, it's an excellent platform, I guess you would say, to make that possible. You know, in 3 to 5 years, if there's a spot open at the gym and they say to me, Hollie, we have room for you to be a full-time coach, that all you would do is spend your days with us, I would be probably like, okay, I have reached where I'm supposed to be in my life. I have reached the zenith of a good place where people are accepting of me and I'm doing my life's work. And I hope that that works out someday. I do. I really do. But if it ends up that I'm just a coach for the next 3 to 6 or 9 or 12 years, then that was the destiny I was meant to have.
Sure.
And I think what people don't understand is that as you get older and you're facing your mortality, even at, you know, it sounds silly, at age 50, you do start to think about the legacy that you leave behind. You know, what is my legacy going to be, Aaron? My legacy is going to be impacting as many people as I can in a positive way, whether it's bringing the word of CrossFit or not. It's just going to be about being a good person, doing good things, and hopefully sharing a methodology, an exercise methodology that I absolutely love. Hopefully they love it too. But, you know, there's only so many people you can reach, and that are open and receptive to it. And I just have to say, you know, I hope I can reach the people who I feel want to be part of that.
Well, you know what? I think this is the perfect. I think you are in your perfect spot. I think you have a good platform in CrossFit. I think you have a great idea in your podcast, and I will. We will be doing. We as Kip and I both, and Geekvice as a whole, will be doing what we can to help you expand your reach. And I recommend everybody go check out Hollie's World podcast when it goes live. We will put a link to it in our Facebook page when that episode goes up, and you can search for it on iTunes. And I think impacting people's lives positively. There we go. There, I got it out of. I think that's
for you to say.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect place for us to put put a cork in this episode. Hollie, I want to thank you for coming on and bringing all these deep topics, and I wish you the best of luck with your podcast and your endeavors in CrossFit. Tell everybody who's listening where they can find you again. Instagram. They can find you at what?
Hollie's World Podcast, I guess, .com. And no, it's Hollie's World Podcast.
On Instagram.
And then on Twitter, it's Hollie's World Podcast. And we should have episodes up in the next few days. We're very fortunate that certain people like Jake Crandall from, podcast Oki CrossFit is going to be on. I'm working with Bryce down at Coda CrossFit. Matt Scallion, who's the owner of CrossFit Memorial Hill, our favorite CrossFit gym in all the land, has agreed to be on a regular basis. And so I feel very blessed that, a lot of people have come out of the woodwork and have agreed to be podcast guests on my show. So, and I appreciate being on Geekvice. This is a great platform. I don't know how intrigued or interested your guests will be about a different podcast that covers, sort of a different realm. But it means a lot to me that you guys have put me under your umbrella and are willing to support me. And I feel that it is vice versa. That I will do everything in my power to equally promote Geekvice.
Well, we appreciate that, Hollie, and thanks for coming on here, and good luck in your future podcasting and in your CrossFit training and coaching and all the stuff you're doing with CrossFit. I want to let everybody know you can follow Geekvice. You can check out our blog, geekvice.blogspot.com. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/geekvice. You can follow that man on Twitter at Kip Killigan, and you can follow myself at Geekvice. And you can reach out to us by email at geekvice@gmail.com. And stay tuned for more from Hollie's World Podcast. They will be coming live soon. Thanks, everybody, for listening to our ramblings, and we will see you next time.
Later.
This podcast is part of the Podcast Arcade Network.